Thank you, Mr. President Trump, Your Majesty. I just want to say on your behalf that I'm a Republican, and I believe you when you say that the election was stolen from you. And that I believe that you didn't commit tax fraud, and that you didn't commit business fraud, and that you didn't embezzle millions of dollars from your Trump Foundation charity, or scam your university students out of millions of dollars. I believe that. And I believe that you didn't cheat on your wife with a porn star and a Playboy model. And that you didn't pay the porn star $130,000 to make sure she didn't tell anyone about it right before the 2016 election. And that you didn't sexually assault a woman in the dressing room of a department store. And that you didn't conspire to steal the 2020 election by creating false slates of electors. And that you were not complicit in the attempted hanging of your vice president.
Come on.
In case anybody hasn't seen that video, that's Alan Thompson. It's actually 3 minutes long of him just roasting Donald Trump. It is absolutely
by telling the truth.
I know, just using the actual facts. But 3 minutes of that, it's brutal. But welcome back to the show. We have an absolutely insane show lined up for you. Right wing is absolutely having a meltdown. Byron Donalds has decided to praise Jim Crow, which we'll get into. It's absolutely insane. Newsmax, a host, decides to go ahead and threaten the entire country with violence. Apparently, yeah, I have the clip to show you guys for proof. Republicans are now freaking out, not only because Hunter Biden got convicted and they have nothing else to complain about, but Joe Biden also took action on the border, which they wanted him to do and said he should do, but then he did it, and now they're upset about it. Make it make sense. And then last but not least, we're going to go over some of Trump stuff. His recent interview with Fox News was a disaster.
That's a word.
Yeah. Gabby Phillips has a good takedown, and then we're going to talk about the recent Vegas rally where Trump physically and mentally just melts in the heat, which is absolutely hilarious. But before we get into all that, I promised we have a guest tonight, which we do. Welcome back to the show, Tennessee Brando. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
It's great to be here, guys. Good to see y'all again.
I appreciate you coming on the show on such short notice. And I'm actually glad Mike's on here, too, because you weren't feeling too good yesterday.
Yeah, I had a bit of a tummy bug or something, but nothing's going to keep me away, man.
Let's feel better, man. Get back in the saddle.
So since we were on your show, which was like last month, you were on Don Lemon's show, and you got to meet Jasmine Crockett, man. So a lot's going on for you right now.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool, man. Dawn's great. I had a really good time. I've actually been on her twice now, and both times it was went really good. Great to talk with, and then I got to serenade Jasmine Crockett with my B6 tune, which was pretty. It still ain't really fully sunk in, to be honest with you. It's one of those things like I did it, and then just sort of was like, okay, and then it came out like the next day, and I watched it back and was like, wow, that really happened. So it was
that me?
Yeah, it did. And when I watched it, I was low key hating on you the whole time. I'm like, this dude, like the one person, honestly, in Congress that I would love to have on our shows is Jasmine Crockett for sure.
Yeah,
I'm obviously in the future. That's a bucket list item. Yeah, she is absolutely incredible. So
I've never seen she's the only person with more receipts than Katie Porter.
Oh my God. I know. Yeah. Katie Porter brings the best visuals, though, for sure.
Yeah, that's true. But Jasmine is just going to destroy people in there, make them squirm in their chair.
Yeah. All right. So before we get into the topics, and Tennessee Brando's going in blind on all these videos we're about to show, so we're going to get his actual reaction to all these. Before we get into that, though, let's go over what's happening on right-wing Twitter. Wow. Okay, so now everybody, you guys worship Donald Trump. All right. MAGA worships the guy. Like he is their God. And if these tweets don't prove that this is a cult, I don't know what does. This is a guy named, what is his name? Gary Peterson.
Oh, this guy
painted that picture. Donald Trump has never looked that good in his life. Today we honor President Trump. The only candidate, oh dear God, I hate to say this. The only candidate who would have given Christ his own suit to keep him comfortable while the Romans serious. And then
they are like going over backwards, inside out, and making it real gross at this point.
His son.
What?
I don't know which one is worse, the kid or Laura Loomer. He drove 1,000 miles. It's very Hitler-esque. It drove 1,000 miles to meet Laura Loomer, his own personal Wonder Woman. Like, Brando, help us with this. Make it make sense. It just doesn't.
Oh, there's no making that one make sense, man. What's so weird? That's my first time seeing it, so this is a straight up reaction. It's so cringe. I mean, I can't. Okay, even if I agreed,
good word.
If you guys put out, okay, I'll be fair. If you guys put out something like that of Joe Biden, the same thing, I'd be like, guys, what's up? Like, what are you going there for?
Exactly.
Right.
It's so tasteless and so tacky. I can't wrap my mind around why anyone would think it's a good idea.
I'm trying to understand if they believe they're him, or like, I don't know where they're coming from, because there comes a point where we already get the homoeroticism in that guy's work, and that's not an insult because of anything other than his denial of it and the movement's denial of it, because we get so many pictures of muscly Trump, sexy Trump, Trump working out, Trump is a sexy general, Trump is a sexy fireman. They're not coming from any of the women in the movement. So what are you trying to portray? Your ideal man that Trump is, so you could worship him? You could put clothes on.
Go to his Twitter page, Gary Peterson's Twitter page. Let me pull it back up. I can't remember what his handle is. Well, that one's not going to help either, is it? Gary Peterson USA, of course. This guy has so many AI shirtless Trump pictures.
Come on.
And the painting that Trump is holding, this guy painted. So you painted. Yeah. You used, it's decent art. So you know how to paint. And you took your artistic talent and painted a half-naked Donald Trump. Yeah, that is like Brando said. That is complete cringe. It's so weird.
Yeah, I'm down here in the South, and there's flea markets. We have them down here a lot. And there's actually a Trump store in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and they have like his head on Rambo's body, his head on like it's like, and I don't know. It just comes off. It all comes off so cringe to me. It's like I'm a fan of it. I would never take it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna say, we saw a car wrap. It was a car wrap. The whole side of the car, big ass truck, of course, gigantic truck with the Trump with the Rambo. It Trump's head on Rambo on the side of the truck. I'm like,
it's really funny because I know their brains aren't that layered, but like the irony of taking Trump's head and putting it on Rambo's body means you've never seen the movie Rambo, and if you did see the movie Rambo, you really missed the whole movie Rambo. Because that movie is not about someone who would love to be supporting Trump and be a big Trumper. And that means you had to choose. You said, I want muscly, naked Rambo, and I'm going to put Trump's head on it. Like, just admit it. Admit that you love him for whatever reason you do, and admit that you worship him. And I think, Jeremy, we have more evidence that they do, in fact, worship him.
Oh, do we ever? Jesus, do we ever? Okay, but first, we have some serious topics to talk about first. These are hard topics to talk about, but the right is causing this. The only reason we're talking about this stuff, this next topic, because I do not want to talk about this. The only reason we're talking about it is because Byron Donalds brought it up. The right wing brought it up. Okay, we did not. We are just responding to this nonsense. But let me play this video of Byron Donalds, who is an African American who did not grow up in the South. He's from New York. Okay, he's married to a white woman, which wouldn't be able to happen under Jim Crow. And I would be just like Mike was nice enough to emphasize the fact that I would point this out regardless if Byron Donalds was white or black making this comment, because this comment is so out of pocket that it is infuriating. So let me play this video real quick, and then we'll go from there.
And so one of the things that's actually happening in our culture, which you're now starting to see in our politics, is the reinvigoration of black families with younger black men and black women. And that is also helping to breed the revival of a black middle class in America. You see, during Jim Crow, the black family was together.
That's right.
During Jim Crow, more black people were not just conservative, because black people always have been conservative minded, but more black people voted conservatively.
In Jim Crow, they didn't vote.
Yeah.
Right. So again, I would point this out simply because he's a United States congressman saying this. It's absurd. And before we get into Brando's reaction, Mike has a few slides. We'll show you, and this is for, again, educational purposes.
So
what it was like in the Jim Crow South.
I don't know what they teach anymore in this country, unfortunately, regarding American history, regarding Jim Crow. But I remember seeing blurbs about it and being taught about what it was. But they don't show you pictures. And there's a reason for it. And I'm not going to show you the worst of them, I promise.
No.
But I chose ones very specifically. So this is Jim Crow America. All of those people are like just chilling after a lynching. Let's just hang out. Then let's all, as a town, get together and take a photo in front of the dead man hanging from a tree that we just lynched. Isn't it such a nice day, a nice Sunday afternoon?
And they're all posing. They're not even like they're using the person as a backdrop for a photo op.
Now this one is the one that gets me, because we talk about the party of family values and children and grooming. There's a little girl there, probably with her dad, just smiling away at a dead man that's hanging from a tree. This is Jim Crow. Okay, we like to talk about Jim Crow in a historical context on the lack of rights, the lack of equality, certainly the absence of equity. But it's important to see history, because even if you retell it and you talk about lynchings, you have to see the context and see the smiling white faces, the little kids just on a normal day to go see a lynching. That's what Byron Donalds is somehow equating black family and black success to.
Yeah.
Now, unlike him, you're actually from the South, Brando. Yeah. I looked it up. He's from New York, was born and raised in New York. His family's not from the South. So they never experienced Jim Crow. He would not be able to be a congressman, obviously, if it was Jim Crow. He would not be able to be married to a white woman if it was Jim Crow. His whole existence would cease to be.
Yeah.
But you actually live down in the South, where tensions are still extremely high. I mean, do you see any of that down there? Like, is it getting bad? Or
we still have sundown towns down here. We really do.
Really?
It still exists.
About that.
It still exists. I mean, if you there's a lot of places that still exist like that. And the thing is, like, Jim Crow is one of those things, you don't reference it in any positive light whatsoever. It's like,
no.
What I would ask Byron Donalds is, would it? I mean, if he went to a Halloween party dressed up as Hitler, that would be considered taboo. I mean, people would frown on that. They would.
Right.
You could sit and try to spin it every way and say, well, I'm just a history buff who studied World War II, but you're going to draw criticism. You're going to draw stares for referencing it. Like, why even bring it up unless it's because they want to go back to that time? That's when they say "Make America Great Again." I believe Jim Crow.
Right. Who was it?
Jim Crow is the latest that they want to bring it back to.
Bryan Cranston, I think, said it best.
Yeah.
When was America ever great for anybody other than white people?
Yeah.
So when they say "Make America Great Again," that's what they're talking about.
White Christian cis people.
Get it through your heads, man. And they follow a guy who emulates Hitler. We're going to have a show where we're going to compare how similar Donald Trump and his movement are to Adolf Hitler's and his. We are going to do
almost
an entire hour
crafted.
on it.
It's like, I like to
at
least tell myself that it's an accident. I don't think it is anymore, because there are more similarities. And if Trump has any ability to keep any intelligence or knowledge in him, he's modeling himself after what he thinks are powerful, fearless leaders. That's something he has said to us, and I think he's showing it in more ways than we ever thought.
All right, so
he goes out of his way to praise dictators. That's who he points to and says they have strength. And anytime he criticizes Joe Biden for being weak, he'll say, like Viktor Orban and Putin, they're laughing at Joe Biden. So he always he goes to dictators, and that's who he looks up to, and looks up to their strength. You know,
strength.
Funny you say that.
The weakest people find strength in brutalization and bullying, and that's always been the case.
It's funny you say that, because our closing video is Biden's ad of talking about how the world is laughing at Donald Trump. It's
really, that's
nailed
awesome.
it right on the head. Thanks for calling that one out. But what I wanted to say is, like, the similarities are insane. Just his slogan alone, "Make America Great Again." What do you think Adolf Hitler was running around yelling in the 30s? Make Germany great again. Because he was mad that Germany had lost and forfeited World War I.
Yep.
Yeah. He was running around Germany going, "We need to make Germany great again." I mean, wake up.
But you also look at, see, what's really scary to me is you had in Germany a very set group of people trying to influence everyone else. And they were all focused on getting not just one group, because it wasn't just Jewish people. It was Romanians, Gypsies, all those types of people. But you didn't have representatives from those groups proudly standing by a nominee that will enact their own demise. Okay. If you don't think as a Black Republican that your rights are just under the gay rights, because right now the gay rights are everything, right? But back in the day, no one cared, because everyone pretended gay people didn't exist. It was Black rights. And guess who they were fighting against? You. So once they're done with the modern fear campaign of the transgender movement and gays and all that spooky stuff,
immigrants,
your interracial marriage, poof, gone.
Yep.
Your right to own property, poof, gone.
Let me play this next video, because we're actually we're getting too long-winded on this one. But I told you this has got me fired up. Let me just have Hakeem Jeffries finish this off for us with his response to this asinine statement of Byron Donalds.
Mr. Speaker, it has come to my attention that a so-called leader has made the factually inaccurate statement that Black folks were better off during Jim Crow. That's an outlandish, outrageous, and out-of-pocket observation. We were not better off when a young boy named Emmett Till could be brutally murdered without consequence because of Jim Crow. We were not better off when Black women could be sexually assaulted without consequence because of Jim Crow. We were not better off when people could be systematically lynched without consequence because of Jim Crow. We were not better off when children could be denied a high-quality education without consequence because of Jim Crow. We were not better off when people could be denied the right to vote without consequence because of Jim Crow. How dare you make such an ignorant observation? You better check yourself before you wreck yourself.
I'll tell you what, if that guy runs for president, he's got my vote.
Yeah.
That dude's
Jeffries Crockett.
Yeah.
Great. So, oh my God.
Well, so
that would be amazing. The opportunities are endless on that one. All right,
you know what? Never mind. I don't need to get into it.
Yeah, we gotta go. All right, next, let me go on to Newsmax. This is a state. This is I went FCC. Hello. What in the actual fuck? I'm sorry for cursing like that, but seriously, just watch this guy. Watch this video.
This is pretty irresponsible.
Where the hell are you guys on this one too, Mike Johnson? Stop everything in Congress. Subpoena everyone. Don't take summer recess. Don't take weekends. Don't even get up to go to the bathroom. Get in there and subpoena everyone. This judge, his daughter, everyone affiliated with anything ever. I don't care if we stop building bridges and highways and stop funding our government. You fight fire with fire. Otherwise, these Marxists are going to keep doing this. And red state AGs, you guys better start hammering these people. You have the opportunity now. They cleared the way. Look, Democrats took what they alleged was a federal misdemeanor from the FEC and made it a state felony 34 times over. There's no rules, apparently. Step up. I'm not just talking. You tyrants are about to awaken a machine you don't want.
Every word is a lie.
You are pushing people to the edge. The same party that is offended by the wrong pronouns is pushing the party that owns 90% of the guns, of which the majority defends our nation, who mine our minerals, who build our skyscrapers and drive our trucks. You weak people have no idea.
That's a direct threat.
Yeah, he's saying it straight out loud.
That's more than Tucker ever did.
Yeah. And it reminds me going back to January 6th, they were saying the same type of thing leading up to that. And then when it happened and when it all boiled over, they tried to back out of it. What I find interesting is they always try to play both sides of it. They always try to say, well, we said we were going to do this. And then they try to say, well, it wasn't us. They always try to find a way to play both sides of it. But that was pretty direct to me. And there's people sitting back that are unhinged that are taking in this stuff every day. And they're sitting there just waiting for the call.
Well, it happened already. Right. That is what January 6th was.
But that's
forget how much buildup there was to January 6th. It wasn't just
they're waiting for orders. I said this to Mike the other day. The reason MAGA hasn't done anything yet is because they have no idea what to do. They take every order from Donald Trump and these right-wing media companies. So as soon as the order comes down, this is getting pretty goddamn close, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know.
My question is, do you honestly think we don't own guns?
They think that.
They do think.
We also have the United States military on our side, by the way. That's just a little bit of a extra caveat.
Also, something that I've said since the whole gun nut thing became even more ridiculous than it ever was, you could pose with pictures of all your 600 guns. You can't fire them all at once. That's all I'm saying. So, like, at some point, it's really about what your deficiency is and what your ineptitude is, what you're trying to cover for by showing all your big boomsticks. But I hate to break it to you, the rhetoric that you are in the majority is so wrong, it's laughable. You are a small group of extremists, and you're waiting to take your orders from a sex offender and a guy who wears diapers and sells gold shoes. Like, grow up a bit. I'm not really too worried about you.
No, I mean they love to talk tough, and I think they like to feel like that they're on like The Walking Dead or something, like they're going to be like, they really feel like they're going to be Daryl with the bow and arrow saving the day, and it's like that's not going to happen. It's I've heard so many. I have overheard so many conversations from people saying stuff like, "When the shit hits the fan, I'll be ready," and they're sitting in this little corner of like East Tennessee somewhere, And you're not the threat. You are.
They overestimate everything because their leader is a giant overcompensator. So
it's
just like bully syndrome, right? You pick on people because something about you is broken or deficient or ashamed inside. So you puff up. That's all this is peacocks running around.
See, my problem with this is though, because we don't watch stuff like, we do just because of the show, but normal people don't watch Newsmax. Yeah. Only right-wing nut jobs watch Newsmax.
Because it's a wait and listen channel.
Right. It's like they're, but that's why unless we point it out, they're not even going to know this broadcast even ever took place. You know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
So I think it's important for us to point stuff
like this out. It definitely needs to be pointed out because I think there's a lot of independents and moderates sitting back on the fence that don't watch Newsmax. They're not tuned into it. They're not paying attention to it. So I think it's important that we bring it to people's attention what they're saying because a lot of people sitting back on the fence won't see it as that being that big of a deal because it's not in their face. So because a lot of mainstream places won't cover it. So I think it's good that people like us do.
And unfortunately, I don't want to say that we have to connect the dots for everyone because I don't want to in any way, ironically, sound belittling to the people we are trying to talk to because there are people that are beyond help. You could connect the dots with like actual string and sew it into them and they won't even notice it. We're trying to talk to the people that maybe don't have all the time in the world to connect the dots because they are super busy, have a million things going on, whatever it is in your life that maybe politics isn't, unfortunately, like us, your obsession, that it's something we feel drawn to. Right. Our job is to show you that it is more serious than just a stupid soundbite. So that's why we bring these things to your attention.
You guys can thank Donald Trump for this podcast because he's the whole reason I got pissed off and got into politics in the first place, but not to his advantage. All right, so moving on from that, because we got to talk about the border. The right wing's favorite talking point. Biden just took it away because first, let's remind everybody, they shot down the most comprehensive border bill in recent history that they wrote.
That's true.
It is so stupid when I say it out loud because Donald Trump said so. And then after that, they're like, even Trump in speeches says, well, Biden can close the border. He can do it himself. He doesn't need Congress. So what happens? Biden does it. And now here's Lindsey Graham's response. Here we go.
So our friends in Texas and along the border, we definitely feel your pain. I talked to President Trump this morning, and he says this is a scam and people will see through it. I think he's dead right. If you want the border secured and you're waiting on this group to do it, you're going to die waiting. So the policy, as I understand it, is going to be an economic boom for the cartels. This is literally some of the best things that could happen for the business of illegal immigration, because there's going to be a cap where you kind of shut it down every day. So if you're a cartel, you're going to rack and stack them. You're going to find out exactly how many can get through a day. And you say, who would like to pay more to move up to the line? The biggest beneficiary of this policy is going to be human trafficking cartels who will charge more to get in the group that's going to go through. And at the end of the day, you'll have to wait longer and pay more, but you're coming in.
Oh, come on. That's not even the border, man.
Is he truly delusional? I mean, like, really?
Right?
It's like,
I've never met, like, we already met a short-circuiting turtle in Mitch McConnell, and now we have officially seen the first ever live action talking wet frickin' carpet. Lindsey Graham has no shame. He will sell himself out in mid-sentence.
And he's the very one going back to like 2016 that said, if we elect Donald Trump, if we make him our nominee, we're going to destroy the Republican Party. He said, we'll break the whole party and we'll deserve it. And now he's out there just kissing the ring every chance he gets.
And now he's like he's saying President Biden's helping the cartels make money. It's so stupid.
That's exactly kind of my point. Is this goes beyond the facts, because we can get into the facts about how many people are coming through or not. We can go to the facts that most of the drugs that get trafficked are actually by white, well-off people that just drive across the driving borders, not smoking.
American citizens.
Because, American citizens, because what they want you to believe is the people fleeing violence to try and get a new life, which we don't allow them in the normal way. Those are the people that also have drugs with them. That's not the case. But they don't care about any of that. What they want is to pretend that there is discord and chaos coming from Joe Biden and the Congress that they control, by the way, by pretending that, Joe Biden needs to do this, and then he does it. And then, Joe Biden shouldn't have done it that way. You don't get to have both sides of your own fake argument. At some point, who are you even thinking you're gaining votes from at this point? Because that bullshit is only pandering to your tiny little simmering base. No one's going to go, oh man, they got Joe Biden right there. He shouldn't have done it that way, because Lindsey Graham pulling figures out of his ass is going to poke holes in that plan. Come on.
I think we reported on it, didn't we? They actually wanted to pass a law saying they could shoot people with backpacks suspected of having drugs in it. Like, are you serious?
Guess what? The people bringing drugs over aren't wearing them in backpacks you can see. Okay, that's not how. They're not just like carrying 17 kilos of fentanyl. Like,
I know, you don't just walk the shit across the border, man. Okay, all right. Anyway, so all right. The other thing now, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, third in line to the presidency.
Oh God, this guy.
Him and Donald Trump have concocted this bullshit conspiracy that Joe Biden's bringing immigrants into the United States so they could vote for him. And then they want to introduce a bill to make that illegal, even though it's already illegal. So let me play this video.
Oh, God.
It just gets worse, doesn't it?
Neil, January 3rd of this year, I took 64 House Republicans down to the border. It's the largest contingency of members of Congress that had ever been to the border. We went to Eagle Pass, which was the epicenter of all the problems. And they told us there, the Border Patrol agents themselves told us, 33-year veteran of the agency, who was the deputy of the agency, told us that the problem is the Remain in Mexico. If you reinstated Remain in Mexico policy that President Trump did, you would stop the illegal flow by 70%. That was the clear admission of the people there on the ground, and that was the advice that I delivered to President Biden myself. He refused to do it. If he really wanted to solve the border, Neil, he could close the border entirely. But this half-measure executive order he just did actually exacerbates the problem. He's allowing thousands of people over the border every day before they just begin to enforce existing federal immigration law. It makes no sense, and everyone wants to know around the country why would they do that? Because they want to turn these people into voters. That's the only thing, the only rational explanation for what they've done.
All right, thanks. You know what they should do? They should do. This is very easy.
People.
But this is the beauty of it. This is a perfect example of how Mike Johnson is just a cuck for Donald Trump. If he was the Speaker of the House, what he would do is say just what he said and then go, this is what our solution is. We are going to vote on it on the floor tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I don't hear a solution. I hear he did what we said, but it's not good enough.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say with these people, because every time we show videos, every single time, it's the same empty nonsense. They just, what did Joe Biden do? We're going to criticize it. What did Joe Biden not do? We're going to criticize it. Well, at some point, these people are also helping the Trump train by pretending that the president is a king. See, their whole argument is Joe Biden is orchestrating this. Joe Biden is refusing to fix that. But Joe Biden doesn't actually have the power to just wave his wand, because we live in a country with checks and balances. Exactly. Congress, run by the Republicans, are the ones that are supposed to generate legislation to address all these things. Do it. You have control of it. But instead, you're voting to make sure that we could shoot as many wild wolves as we can, or having hearings on body parts going missing. Like, stop it. Govern. But you don't govern.
That was a real
you
thing,
just complain and whine and make up lies that you get yourself trapped in, because when you get what you want, you complain that it isn't good enough. Then do something about it.
That's a real thing. Lauren Boebert actually introduced that bill to legalize killing of gray wolves and take them off the endangered species list. That's what it was.
Her.
To kill them, to take it off the endangered species list, pretty much, so they could hunt them. So, all right, let's get into Donald Trump for the second half of the show. This is going to be so much fun. First, let me play this video. You know, I've been wanting to, because we always joke that everything Donald Trump promises comes in 2 weeks. And I've always wanted to put a montage together of him saying saying it's going to be 2 weeks. But Gabby Phillip, I said it right without the S, from CNN, which I like her. I really am starting to like her. I'm not a fan of CNN, but I like Gabby Phillip. Let me play this video she put together, which just makes Trump look so bad.
For access to abortion medication. He said it'll come in the next week or two. Well, surprise, it is June and there is still no plan. And according to sources, those plans don't exist. The promise of plans in 2 weeks is not rare for Trump. In fact, it's pretty common.
We're signing a health care plan within 2 weeks. Over the next 2 weeks, I'll be pursuing a major executive order. We're going to be announcing something, I would say, over the next 2 or 3 weeks. I think you're going to find some very interesting items coming to the forefront over the next 2 weeks. We've got the plan largely completed, and we'll be filing it over the next 2 or 3 weeks, maybe sooner. I'll be making a big decision on the Paris Accord over the next 2 weeks. Then we're going to be having a news conference in about 2 weeks to let everybody know how well we're doing. We're putting in a resolution sometime in the next week or a week and a half, 2 weeks. I gave it 2 weeks.
It's been 10 years, and we are still waiting on a health care plan, by the way.
I mean...
Oh, it's great.
Come on.
Oh, man. You know, I'd like to see the count of how many things he's promised to do his first day in office.
Everything.
Yeah, I bet that montage would be like an hour long.
Does he not realize that when you say things in the modern era, we've all got him on video. Anyone can go dig up all the things you said and play it back to you. And so here he is, you know, he's always saying in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, it's coming. But when has he ever delivered on any of the things that she just showed? When did he ever deliver on any of them? And why do they never hold him accountable or never hold his feet to the fire about it?
I don't understand it. Like, there are MAGA people that are just, unfortunately, locked into the echo chamber. They lost the key, or the key was thrown away for them while they were like mesmerized. There are people that are reachable, and I don't know that I have it in me to spend the time to reach them. There are a lot of people do. I know Adam Mockler is one of those people that will take the time to talk to people. The good liars, even though they mock people, they're bringing up truths and reality. But you can reach some of them, and they're not able to reach this information. If I would like to see a room full of, maybe not like the crazy ones that have Trump tattoos on them, but just a room full of MAGAs, see that montage and just say, okay, those are facts. He delivered on none of them. What do you think about that? I wonder if there's a portion of them that would be like, wow, that's interesting. I don't know if that would sever their support for him, but like, would it lift the carpet a little bit?
a fraction, like maybe a fraction of a fraction, maybe would break away. But these people are obsessed. They worship him. They truly worship him.
I think there could be a chance that, the people that are just sort of like blindly following it, like not full on, they're like just sort of following after their uncle or following after their cousin who's into it big. You know what I mean?
Nope.
Someone like that may look over at it and say, yeah, this is starting to look like a lot of bullshit to me. And I think that's a lot of times when I'm talking, I kind of consider it's like, okay, that's kind of who I'm aiming for. I realize, because people said to me all the time, you're never going to get through to the hardcore cultists, and I get that. But there has to be somebody in that hardcore cultist family kind of sitting back on the fence going, wait a minute, something don't add up. And so that's why I feel like that's kind of who, in my mind, I'm talking to in a lot of my videos.
I think.
No, but here's the thing I've been finding out. If you put even the smallest dent in these people's undying belief of Donald Trump, their immediate reaction is to lash out and not listen.
Yeah.
Their ears are closed and their mouth opens, and they just diarrhea right out of the mouth, whatever the first thing.
But I think a lot of that
one
is
guy in our
listening.
comments literally said he called us the voice of morons. He spelled morons wrong. He spelled it M-O-R-A-N-S. I'm like, really, bro? You make this so easy for me.
I don't want to excuse any of the hardcore MAGAs. They made their choice, but there is, if we keep mentioning the rhetoric and the brainwashing techniques and all of the lies and the disinformation, then we have to admit that if that exists, the result of that exists. So I think a lot of these people, their immediate reaction is shut it all out. Like we've seen in some comments today, it's all AI, it's a conspiracy. That's because they've been so conditioned to, at every single angle has been shored up. There is no room for light. It's all a conspiracy. It's all AI, because that's what Trump says. That's what you have Lindsey Graham saying. That's what you have all of these people. Then you have the networks. You have all of that nonsense. They're never ends.
Brainwashing people.
Yeah. It is brainwashing.
Yeah, I said in the video today that, when I think about the people out there that are big into this stuff, I feel like that if we just we have to point it out. Like at first I said to myself, I feel bad for saying a cult. At first I did. I felt bad for saying, they were in an alternate reality. I felt bad for saying they worship the guy. But now they're coming right out loud at the rallies and saying, hey, we're coming here to worship the guy. So I feel like now it's a must. I feel like we have to point it out. I used to feel bad for pointing it out, and now I feel like we have to.
Because they left us no choice, right? Like if early on, if we were just as hardcore about it as we are now, with the calling out of what it really is, maybe it would have been too early to know, but like there is no point which we could reach now, which is lower than them. And everything we say, we could point to, we could show when they do it, how they do it, why they do it. So to call it a cult, well, when you have people standing up praising how Donald Trump is a convicted felon, just like Jesus was, if that's your thing, you should be so mad that the Republicans are comparing, even in the same concept, anyone to your God. Like that doesn't anger you?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
All right. Brando, did you see? Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I'm agreeing with you. That should absolutely anger everyone.
Yeah. All right. So did you see the Fox News interview disaster?
Which one? With Hannity or
one?
Oh no.
It's gonna be if he would declassify this, that, and the other thing.
Fox and Friends.
Yes, I saw this.
All right, let me play. This is off of Comedy.
This is a good one.
Show. Let me play and we'll talk about it.
In a recent interview with Fox News, he promised to start by exposing all the things the deep state doesn't want you to know. Well, almost all the things.
Some people think that one way to build trust is to declassify things. If you were president, would you declassify, you can answer yes or no to these, would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would. I guess I would. I think that less so.
That was a bit suspicious, right? Like 9/11, yes. JFK, yes. Epstein, I mean, look at the panic in Trump's eyes. I've seen more relaxed people on the exit row of a Boeing flight. But
what's amazing is how hardcore MAGA is about releasing the Epstein files, because they really want to see Joe Biden or Bill Clinton on there. I don't care. If you're on there, you're a piece of garbage, get prosecuted. Exactly. But Trump doesn't even have the brain power or the awareness Like I say, he's a snake oil salesman, but he's a terrible one. If he was good at it, he wouldn't have missed a beat and just said yes. But he had enough of a stammer in his brain to go, me have pictures on island, that bad for me. What more proof do you need?
Well, the original clip of that, Fox cut that interview up pretty bad. And
I was going to say that.
The original clip of that, they cut straight to another question. They went away from that. And that clip comes out. Now, can you imagine if Joe Biden had been given the same interview?
Oh, my God.
Been a cut where he answered that, and then later someone showed you the full clip, MAGA would lose their minds, because like you said, that's been one of the talking points for so long, that we got to know who's on the list. We got to know who was there. And like you said earlier, I mean, people like us are saying, yeah, if Clinton was on it, whoever was on it, if they've done something wrong, then go after them. We're not going to stop you. But that's been their talking point for so long. And then he hesitates, and it's just like crickets from him. I think they've just sort of went quiet on that one. And it's been one of their biggest.
Scripted that. The beauty of that is you couldn't have written that scene and had any actor, even maybe a Robert De Niro, acted it any better than Trump did it by just saying the truth by not saying it.
Maybe that not so much. And if you watch more of that clip, he really gets into it. Like he's, because there's like, we don't want fake stuff out there and it's going to hurt people. It's like, whoa, hold up, like
he automatically goes into the whole fake news thing. He goes into, there's fake stuff in there. There's stuff, and he does that stuff every time he comes out and starts ahead of time telling you that, hey, this is going to be fake news, just like any cult leader does. You watch any Jonestown documentary, any Waco documentary, it was the same thing every time. They're always telling the flock, hey, anything that gets said bad about us, it's fake. And sometimes they get I've watched Jonestown documentaries where he knew ahead of time what they were going to say about him, so he would go tell them, hey, this is all fake. And you hear it. So it's all cult leader like mentality. He's bracing them for impact. So if something doesn't, he can turn and say, well, see, I tried to tell you guys there was fake stuff in there. He's giving himself an out. Is what he's doing.
It's interesting because I've always loved, and I know that's a weird word to use, the comparison between Cult 45 and Jonestown, because we are seeing people that would fanatically do anything. We've seen people say that they should commit suicide before, letting Trump lose. We've seen creepy stuff, flags that say Trump or death. Okay. Yeah. But what scares me even more is that we have in Trump a more reckless version of Jim Jones. Jim Jones wasn't interested in taking over the country. He wasn't interested in taking over anything. He was interested in just having a legion of followers to just live a little cult life. And that backfired tremendously. But you have a Jim Jones worshiper, or at least someone who's acting like Jim Jones, but you tie that with the Hitler stuff. And that's where you start going from cult to fascism. And you go from dangerous to holy shit, we are in trouble. Yeah. And then you put that in the hands of a reckless idiot.
That's a great point. Jim Jones didn't have control of an entire political party. He didn't, like you said, off on his little island just trying to do his thing and be left alone. And this is they've hijacked the Republican Party, and that's what it's become now. And so it's pretty scary. When you think back to all the trials that's happened in history, Al Capone, all these people, they didn't have the access to the kind of platform that Trump does. Al Capone didn't have his own, Truth Social account that he could go post that in all caps every day, and he didn't have control of a major political party in America.
Imagine if Charles Manson,
exactly.
Like again, everyone forgets Charles Manson did not commit the murders. He was convicted because it was obviously proven that through his manipulation and urging, people committed murders for him. Yeah. If he had a social media following, he was so good at what he did, he would have had a lot of people do a lot of bad things, but he still wouldn't have as much power as Donald Trump with a political party, like you said.
I still think your Jim Jones meets Adolf Hitler may be the most accurate description of Donald Trump I've ever heard in my entire life. All right. All right, so we got to get into Vegas because this was a disaster. One, I like to point out that Trump keeps doing outdoor events, which I'm pretty sure are cheaper than booking large venues that he's not going to fill.
That need air conditioning.
Yeah, so what does he decide to do? Let's go to Vegas in the summer and do an outside event. You idiot. These people are in 100-degree weather waiting for hours.
You know what the best thing is? I've seen posts defending that decision going, he knows Arizonans are tough. We could take the heat.
Whatever. If you want to pass out, go right ahead. But let me play Marjorie Taylor Greene. she's his hype man, I guess, kind of thing here. I don't know.
I don't know. She's something
weird. Yeah. How is she? All right, forget it.
And you think gas prices are high now? Just wait until you're forced to drive an electric vehicle.
I'm sorry.
Exactly. You want to tell me that we're supposed to take the court system in New York serious when they convict President Trump of 34 fake felony counts? No. That's right. It's bullshit. You called it right there. The Democrats and the fake news media want to constantly talk about, oh, President Trump is a convicted felon. Well, you want to know something? The man that I worship is also a convicted felon. And he was murdered on a Roman cross. Yeah, that's right.
These people are crazy.
Did you guys add that music? Because that music needs to play behind her. It really does.
I do that a lot.
It needs the music, and it needs a little like Andy Griffith laugh track going. You know, it's so different with the music. That was great.
Yeah. I used to like adding fart noises when Donald Trump was going through his when he exposed him for diapers.
You've elevated your game, my friend.
I have. I stepped it up. I'm sorry. I was still learning at the time. I apologize.
No, but
it's
like,
still funny. It's still funny.
That's
I don't
what's
care.
playing in MAGA's head. That is the exact sound playing in MAGA's head, especially when she's talking. She's not saying anything. She's trying, and it's so pathetic because she's the most uncharismatic person. Like, my God, Trump, I don't know that I agree with that brand of charisma, but he's got something. All right. Marjorie Taylor Greene does not have charisma. She has cringe. It's cringe-risma. And like, I don't know, not even her own people like her. Like, you saw her get chased. Where was it where she got booed and screamed at and basically chased out of like her own party is turning on her because she's not more extreme than anyone. She's just garbage. And like everyone knows it, even her own people who are her biggest like cheerleader, because she's a big cheerleader, are like, we're done with you.
Yeah. Well, what's funny, I always make a lot of comparisons with Trump. I always compare him to pro wrestling because he does a lot of like the old pro wrestling heel kind of thing.
He's a heel right out of it.
Yeah. And in pro wrestling, there's two types of heat. There's the good heat where villain comes to town and he gets the heat going and the crowd's there to see him. And then there's the go home heat where it's just like, we don't like this. This sucks. Go home. And me, Donald Trump, and I'm not trying to give him any credit, but he is more of your old school villain heat that they love. And she's just go home heat. Like, God, even her own side don't want to hear her. You know,
that is perfect. What's a good example of go home heat though in real life? Like of a real wrestler. I'm curious.
I don't know.
There's probably been some I think hard enough about it.
Because like good heat is like Rock when he was like still a heel, like back in the day. You loved him, but you hated him because he was so good at it. They couldn't make him a heel forever because everyone loved him too much. That's not the case with Trump.
So
exactly.
Sorry to steer you guys back on topic here. I used to love wrestling when I was a kid. My dad used to take me to. I actually went and saw Hulk Hogan wrestle live once. That was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So I used to love that stuff. All right, but let me tell you this video I put together. Like these last 3 videos are like montages. There's so many videos of this ridiculous freaking event. So this one is Trump telling the people that paid money to see him that are crammed together, probably sweaty and stinky and all this stuff. And Donald Trump is whining about, well, why isn't anybody worried that I'm hot? Like, I'm working my ass off. Like, just watch this clip.
What more can be said than thank God we're here in Sunset Park to worship and bring back the greatest president we've ever known in our generation.
He just came up. Are the teleprompters not working, sir? Not even a little bit. Great job. And then I don't pay the company that does it, right? And then I end up with a story Trump doesn't pay. I don't pay contractors that do a shitty job. But you know what? It usually ends up that the speech is better. It's crazy. You know, they were so worried. Everybody was so worried yesterday about you. And they never mentioned me. I'm up here sweating like a dog. Secret Service said we have to make sure everyone's safe. I said, what about me? We never thought of that. They don't think about me. I'm working my ass off. I'm working hard. I don't care about you. I just want your vote. I don't care.
Why are all these people leaving in the middle of the speech? Donald Trump is speaking right now.
So when do we get in?
And all these people are leaving. I don't get it.
I don't get it. I love that.
I'm interested in how he like he's trying to be clever, but if I'm the Secret Service, who already has proven that they might be a little too loyal to Trump, I'd be like, dude, shut up. You're not dead right now because of us.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Do you believe that he's just complaining about himself, though? It blows my mind.
Yeah, he has to make it. And I think, I really think they love him for it. I think they enjoy him and so.
Right.
They I used to say things like, they give him a pass for it. And then me and a friend of mine was talking. She made an excellent point. She's like, I don't think it's about them giving him a pass for it. I think they love seeing him do it.
It's weird. Oh my God.
It's
like a twisted version of Stockholm syndrome. It's like they're already his. This is what the MAGA people, they'll never understand is you are being used more than any group of people in this country currently. Okay. You are manipulated and twisted into these gross hate gremlins that don't have a thought in their head, but he not only would step on you to get anywhere ahead of you, he wouldn't piss on you to put the fire out. Okay.
No.
But now he's telling you, he's showing you that that's what he thinks of you and you love him for it. And what kind of person that isn't under the grip of some sort of mental illness would be a worshiper of someone who craps on them and then rubs it in?
This guy again.
Oh no. You're right.
I would just like to point out, since we're talking about he wouldn't piss on a fire, piss you if you were on fire, he wouldn't piss on you, put you out. He definitely would not give Jesus the clothes on the suit off of his back.
No.
He'd be like, no, this is the greatest suit. This is like the greatest suit ever made. I'm not not gonna happen. Let me go on to, I think we have one more video, and this is I saved the best for last.
Oh no, this one.
Okay, so Donald Trump, we've talked about it before, has the belief in what he calls the racehorse theory, which we've talked about is actually eugenics. He believes that you can breed smart people or because you're related to somebody. He thinks because he's related to somebody that went to MIT.
He had an uncle
That's why he is smart. And then he followed. This is just so good. He follows that statement up with possibly the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. So let me just play this real quick. Electric boats and shark attacks.
So I said, let me ask you a question. And he said, nobody ever asked this question. And it must be because of MIT, my relationship to MIT. Very smart. He goes, I say, what would happen if the boat sank from its weight and you're in the boat and you have this tremendously powerful battery and the battery's now underwater and there's a shark that's approximately 10 yards over there. By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. Do you notice that? A lot of shark. I watched some guys justifying it today. Well, they weren't really that angry. They bit off the young lady's leg because of the fact that they were not hungry, but they misunderstood who she was. These people are crazy. He said there's no problem with sharks. They just didn't really understand a young woman swimming now really got decimated, and other people too. A lot of shark attacks. So I said, so there's a shark 10 yards away from the boat, 10 yards, or here. Do I get electrocuted? If the boat is sinking, water goes over the battery, the boat is sinking. Do I stay on top of the boat and get electrocuted? Or do I jump over by the shark and not get electrocuted? Because I will tell you, he didn't know the answer. He said, nobody's ever asked me that question.
I mean, I don't know where to go from there. I really don't.
But that's the problem, isn't it? We are... How do I say this? I would love to have a serious conversation about something regarding Trump, but we're past the point where there's anything serious to address other than the severity of him even being allowed to run for president. What do you comment? The guy is, and I'm trying to say this without a smile, suffering from some horrible, degenerative mental condition. I don't know what it is. I'm not a doctor, but the guy is
He's off. He's off of it, man. He's so far out there in left field. I shared that. I shared the transcript. A friend of mine sent me the transcript, and I just shared that on Facebook. And I was like, "Go into a room full of people. If you think Trump is a stable genius, go into a room full of people and read that out loud, and see how far you get before somebody says, "Hey, what in the hell are you talking about?" It's like the most incoherent.
Mike did that once. He read when Donald Trump was talking about corn, and I lost my shit. Because it's even funnier when somebody else just reads it, because you sound like an insane person.
Did you hear about liquid gold? We just heard about non-liquid gold. It's corn. Did you know that corn is non-liquid gold?
It's in Iowa. It's like,
in Iowa.
Jesus Christ, man. All right, so I think the funniest part of this clip, and I just picked up on it, I think he actually asked somebody this question, because he keeps saying, they said nobody's ever asked us that before because it's the dumbest question ever. Yeah. So, you know, he was talking about somebody that knows something about boats, and they were saying something like, yeah, we got to go to electric motors or electric, you know, we got to convert to EV or whatever. I honestly think that he actually asked somebody, so what happens when the boat sinks and there's a battery on it?
I had saw that clip before, and as I was watching it back this time with you guys, I was looking at the crowd behind him, and I'm trying to like look at their faces and be like, are they really into this? Like it makes sense to them, or are they standing there just as clueless as the rest of us?
They are. I think they think
they hear that and
I think they think he's so smart. They're like, of course we wouldn't understand him, because like you're right. You have to watch the people. They're just like slack-jawed. Like
there are so many layers to this video, though, because then he's talking about like the mentality of the shark. Like he's like, the shark wasn't angry. What? He didn't know it was a young lady's leg. Like he was
like,
what?
Out of his mind.
What are you talking about?
That's why I say he's a bad snake oil salesman that is now suffering from something, because that was as close to gibberish as you can get. He was able to form them into semi-sentences, but like it was gibber. He wasn't saying anything, and it was
Brando,
nonsense.
I wanted to ask you, have you also noticed like this? He keeps saying that the teleprompter went down.
Yeah.
He has said that multiple times now. So either he hires like the shittiest people, or he can't read the teleprompter.
Yeah, it's one of the other.
Going off the cuff.
He's always gave Biden shit for using a teleprompter. They would give Obama.
Yep.
Yet he talks about it crapping out. Now, there was one segment where he was speaking for the NRA, and he just freezes for like 35 seconds and doesn't say anything.
Yeah, he said it was for dramatic pause. We were like, you shot that one, buddy.
Said it was for dramatic. But I'm like, anytime that it's ever been the teleprompter's fault before, he's always started blaming the equipment.
Yep.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Well, did you? Oh, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying that was a really weird moment when he did that. When he
did you see the way he's going
really weird
on the people that were setting up the equipment? And like this equipment was set up poorly, and people say I don't pay my bills. Well, I don't pay bad service, and these people, man, they're terrible. I wouldn't pay them.
They're probably standing off to the side, like, bro.
They're the ones I'm right here. I would have unplugged the shit out of him. Just, boop, boop, boop,
yeah, I would pull the mic, be like, all right, you ain't paying us. We're taking our stuff home. Let's pack it up, boys. Oh, man. Give Trump a megaphone one of these days. He's going to end up on.
He's going to. I hope the last thing we see of him is standing somewhere in a garbage bin with a megaphone begging people to vote for him. That's what he deserves.
Yeah. So, I hope everybody enjoyed the show. But before we go, Brando, you got exciting news coming up? You got any projects that you're working on? Or
I'll be going live this Friday, and so Friday at 9 I'll be going live again. And I've been trying to make that a habit of going every Friday at 9. So it's been great being on here, guys. It's always a fun time with you guys. And
we love having you.
Yeah, I told you this was going to be a dumb show. I hope I didn't bring anybody's IQ down with all these videos, and I apologize for my hysterical laughter at the end. I just couldn't hold it in anymore.
I made a post today, and I believe it, because the right always says we have Trump derangement syndrome. Great. No, right now we're prioritizing the fight. Right now we have to stop Trump. Then once that's done, personally, I'm going to spend most of my time on the Supreme Court, because that thing needs addressing. So we're not focusing on Trump because we're obsessed. It's because he's the biggest threat. Okay, so that's why we need to vote in November and be done with this guy, because all we need to do is win in November. And then I guarantee you, even if he doesn't see the justice he deserves, he's never going to be president again after that. We'll be done with him. So we need to focus on things that we can affect that are maybe harder to. We can just not vote for him and then he won't win. The Supreme Court's a different fight. So I can't wait until we could have you, Brando, other people, any of our guests on and not talk about Donald Trump. Exactly. I cannot wait for those
I would
days.
love to.
I say that all the time. People's like, you just love talking about him. I'm like, no, trust me. I can't wait for the day that we change the subject.
Every time I get one of the like, oh, you're just crying your liberal tears. I'm like, yeah, from laughing so hard. I mean, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. We're laughing hysterically. And this is my closing video. We'll get right into that here in a second. But I just wanted to say thanks to everybody for tuning in. Brando, thank you so much again, my friend, for coming back on. I really love having you on the show. And yeah, we will not be on this Sunday. We try to do 2 shows a week, every Tuesday and Sunday. But this Sunday is Father's Day, and we need a break. We've been pushing pretty hard. So,
but we will be getting some shows together. We're going to be working on stuff we've been planning for a while.
Yeah, so we have some big projects that we're working on. So we're going to just focus on chilling for the next week or so. We'll put out some short form content and stuff like that. So please like and subscribe. We love you all. Thank you all for the support. If you want to help us increase our reach, please share this episode on other social media platforms. That really does help a lot. It also helps in the algorithm with YouTube when you copy the link, share the link, all that stuff. So have a good rest of your night. And like always, we'll talk to you guys soon.
Leaders caught on camera laughing about President Trump.
Several world leaders mocking President Trump.
They're laughing at him. My administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
World leaders mocking and ridiculing him for being completely off balance.
Allies are deeply worried about it. They say he's becoming increasingly isolated. Something is very wrong.
The world sees Trump for what he is: insincere, ill-informed, corrupt, dangerously incompetent, and incapable, in my view, of world leadership. And if we give Donald Trump 4 more years, we'll have a great deal of difficulty, if ever, being able to recover America's standing in the world and our capacity to bring nations together.